To begin with developments in Somalia, there have been conflicting reports about an attack carried out by al-Qaeda-linked al-Shabaab militia. The militants are claiming to have killed dozens of Kenyan soldiers who are part of African Union troops in a dawn raid on their base in southwestern Somalia. But Kenya's Ministry of Defense says al-Shabaab attacked the Somali military army camp, which is in close proximity to the Kenya Defence Force camp, and that the SNA camp was overrun and KDF troops and AMISOM counterattacked in support of SNA. The base is situated in the town of El Ada in Somalia's Gedo region near the Kenyan border. The offensive started with a suicide bomber exploding in a car at the entrance to the base. Following the explosion, heavy fire started and the extremists stormed the base. Meanwhile, African Union mission in Somalia, AMISOM, dismissed claims by the militants that they killed over 50 Kenyan soldiers. Speaking to CCTV earlier, AMISOM spokesperson Lt Colonel Njuguna said the figures were exaggerated. He also gave an update on the current situation at the AMISOM base.
The information that we have right now is that there was an attack on an SNA camp in El Ade, which is also in close proximity with the AMISOM camp. And when this attack happened, the AMISOM troops that are on the ground in El Ade reacted in support to the SNA troops. As of now, the fighting is going on. People are headed out there, and once they are on the ground, then we shall be able to give the actual information. But as of now, is that there was that attack on the SNA camp, and AMISOM troops counterattacked in support of SNA. That is al-Shabaab propaganda. That happens. I'm sure you're in the media, you know that always happens. When something like this happens, they come up with a figure of 50 or 60 something. This is nothing new. It is part of their propaganda. We shall have factual information once our people on the ground are able to talk to us, and that should be soon.
Let's take you back to our lead story this hour. There have been conflicting reports about an attack carried out by al-Shabaab militia. The militants are claiming to have killed dozens of Kenyan soldiers who are part of the African Union troops in a dawn raid on their base in southwestern Somalia. And of course, Kenya's Ministry of Defense is disputing their account by al-Shabaab. So let's get this discussion going. We've managed to reconnect with Ahmed Roble from the Mogadishu Center for Research and Studies. Ahmed, good to have you back with us. As I was telling you earlier, there's been a number of conflicting reports about this latest attack by the al-Shabaab militants. And I guess the question is the propaganda war making it difficult to get accurate information from the battlefront?
Yes, thank you for having me. I think there is unanimity on the conflict, on the attack that al-Shabaab waged this morning in El Ade, which is 550 kilometers away from Mogadishu. I think the claims that al-Shabaab are saying is that they took over the compound and almost 50 people or 50 soldiers from the Kenyan army have been killed. And the other side, there are news or claims that are conflicting than the earlier one. I think the president of Kenya have set his embassy and have sent his condolences to the people who have died in the attack. And I think these news are conflicting, and I think the proper news will come out after this operation is over.
What is your assessment of the coordination between the Somali National Army, the Kenya Defence Forces, and generally the AMISOM troops in the battle against al-Shabaab?
I think there is a lack of vision, shared vision, from both the AMISOM forces and the AMISOM and the Somali forces, and similarly the Kenyan forces. I think they have to have a shared vision of how to counter al-Shabaab, and I think that there is a need to integrate and interlink the concepts and the techniques and the tactics that can be countered easily to al-Shabaab. I think that vision is extremely not there, and I think that is something that is needed to be there. I think the vision, I think that vision is needed within AMISOM forces and within the Somali forces. That vision must be shared vision on countering al-Shabaab, because this threat is not only a Somali threat. I think this is a regional threat, and I think we have to have a shared vision toward that threat.
So are we likely to see a change in strategy from the AU and the Somali government, given that national elections are approaching in Somalia and al-Shabaab seems to be stepping up its attacks?
I think the Somali government have promised it earlier to boost the security of the country, the entire country. I think that strategy is in the making, and I think these attacks are are extremely making the strategy of boosting the Somali security since the elections of 2016 are approaching. I think that strategy is needed to, as soon as possible, to be properly set up and formulated on making Somalia secure, and that must be a regional a regional commitment from both the government of Somalia, the governments of East Africa, and that commitment can bring Somalia and in the entire region to be a very peaceful place. I think Somalia is having a kind of election, and I think that the model can be either 4.5 or regional, but the election can be very effectively made, or very effectively, it can very effectively happen if the security or the security challenges that Somalia is facing is altered. And I think that must be a regional a committed, a shared regional commitment from both Kenya and Ethiopia and Somalia for making the East African region a very stable and economically developed region in Africa.
All right, Ahmed Roble speaking to us there live in Mogadishu. Many thanks.